Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and a good night. I am King Piggly. This is Gaming Imperfectly, and welcome to the channel. And if you're new to the channel, I am King Piggly, and I hope you like what you see. Guys, the case I got for you, the missing person case I got for you, is completely cuckoo bird. All right, I have no answers for this one. It's not going to be a long video because this is a fairly short case because it's not only recent and new, but it is so confusing and beyond my understanding that I don't know how to make this a long video. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what happened to Morgan Heimer. Morgan Heimer, guys, was a 22-year-old young man with the whole world in front of him and possibilities beyond imagine. He was a pretty outgoing guy. He loved the outdoors. And because of that, he actually went in the summer of 2015 and got a job with Tour West, which is a company in the Grand Canyon Park area that where he's a tour guide. Basically, he's a tour guide for tourists that come to the Grand Canyon. On June the 2nd of 2015, Morgan and two other employees of Tour West were with a group of around 15 to 16 tourists touring the Grand Canyon. They had actually taken a raft up the river, and they had gone to actually river mile marker somewhere around 213 near this place called Pumpkin Springs. Now, I'll put a picture of this thing, but it's a rock bowl, but it almost looks like a hollowed out pumpkin to where people go and they bathe, they take a swim. It's hot there, you know, it's the Grand Canyon. So this is really fun for tourists. They get to walk around some, but this particular area, when they get to where you're going, there is the river, and then there's a little walk down to this area, but there's no way to go in or out. There's only one way in and one way out, down to Pumpkin Springs where everybody's taking a swim. Now, Morgan Heimer was well versed in this. This wasn't his first trip. This wasn't his first tour group. The summer had been progressing very well, and this day was like any other day. There was no signs that anything different. In fact, the day was beautiful. Blue skies, clear, and everybody was having a good time. It was hot. I mean, it's June, and it's in the Grand Canyon. So when they arrived at Pumpkin Springs, everybody was overjoyed. They just kind of hopped in and had a swim, and everything was going well. However, by 7:26 that day, that night, that evening, his fellow workers, co-workers for the Tour West company would report Morgan missing, completely vanished. And when they told the police, Morgan just disappeared. We have no clue of what happened. It kicked off a search for Morgan that was huge. I mean, monumentally massive. They went looking for this guy. And he had been missing but for a few hours at this point in time. Morgan was last seen wearing a life preserver, so he actually had a life vest on, all right? And he was seen by one of his co-workers standing at the edge of the river. He had a pair of shorts on, a white shirt, a pair of flip-flops. He was carrying a purple water bottle and standing at the edge of the river, just looking around, nothing crazy. The co-worker turned and was actually talking to one of the tourists, and when he turned back, Morgan was gone. They looked high and low for Morgan, right there. No sign of him. Completely vanished. Like I said, the search went on for about 6 days, and they looked high and low. I mean, there was a 12-mile search radius around where he went. They looked in the river and everything else. Remember, he had a life preserver on. Not only that, but if Morgan would have fell into the Colorado River, he would have yelled out, "Help, I'm in the river." I mean, he had a life preserver on, for God's sakes. Not only that, by all intents and purposes, I mean, from all accounts, from his co-workers and the boss of the touring company, they all, they all knew Morgan. And like I said, he had done this tour. He had been on this tour several times. And most importantly, he was an avid outdoorsman. Like a lot of the cases of missing people in the parks around North America and around the world, the wilderness areas, people just go vanishing. And for me, this makes it the most baffling. You know, when people go missing in cities, I don't necessarily, I mean, I feel bad for their families and everything, but it doesn't surprise me. Because like most people, guys, I think that the human race, most people just want to live their lives. They don't want to hurt anybody, and they just want to be left alone. However, there is a small percentage of human beings that are just masters at being despicable. They hurt, they kill. All they know how to do is destroy. And truthfully, if evil personified, there are some evil people in the world. And so when people go missing inside cities, I'm not surprised by it. Because when you the bigger the city, the more chances you have into running into a despicable human being who just derives pleasure from hurting people. Be it a mass murderer, serial killer, or just some weirdo at a bus stop. But when you're out in the woods, when you're out in the middle of nowhere, when you are at a place that you literally had to take a boat to get to because there's no roads that go there, how do you disappear? How do you just vanish without a trace? And most importantly, in this case with Morgan Heimer, he was standing right there. Not unlike Chris Tompkins, who we also did a story on. If you haven't seen that video, guys, go check out the What Happened to Christopher Tompkins story, because that guy was 55 feet walking behind a friend of his at work, having a conversation when he disappeared and never been seen again either. So how are people just vanishing like this on beautiful, clear days, never to be seen again? Morgan Heimer's family all said that he was a wonderful human being, that he was a really nice guy, and that he just loved the outdoors and had a huge amount of experience at hiking and camping and all this stuff. So what happened to him is he's just beyond anything I can comprehend. And like I said, you know, the reason I do have a tendency to cover a lot of why people disappearing in the national parks, and not just people randomly disappearing in cities and stuff, is because most of the time I truly believe that folks that disappear in the cities were just taken by human beings that are horrible. Horrible human beings are the culprit. But again, when you're out in places like this, like Morgan Heimer, when you're out in the middle of nowhere, and a person sees you, turns around, turns back around, and you are gone. How do you explain that? And I would love to hear how you would explain it in the comment section below. What do you think happened to Morgan? How did he disappear like this? And no trace of him has ever been found. Nothing. Ever to this day. My heart goes out to the families, as always, with these cases, guys. I just feel so bad for them. It just breaks into 1,000 pieces to not have closure about the loss of your loved one. And I truly hope that one day they do. Because nobody deserves to spend the rest of their life wondering what happened to their husbands and mothers and daughters and sons and grandparents. It's so sad. Tragic. But that's it for King Pigley today. Thank you so much for being here. I know this is kind of a short one, guys, but I thought this story needed to be shared. There's not a lot of information with it, but I thought that certainly we needed to get it out there. And by any stretch of the imagination, if you guys have any information on Morgan Heimer, please contact the local authorities. Let them know, because it's super important. But that's it for King Pigley. If you like this video, smash in the like button, guys. I know it's hard to like videos like this because they're dark and macabre, but at least if you like the storyteller, if you like the story, if you like how it was presented, if you like the storytelling, help me out. Hit that like button, because it lets YouTube know in the algorithm that people are enjoying my content. And that means they'll actually help me out, and that helps the channel grow, and that makes me super happy. And I need to be super happy, because I don't have much to be super happy about. But that, also, guys, if you are new to the channel, you've been here this long, hit the subscribe button. Keep coming back, hanging out with me. I love your company. I love talking with you guys. I love hanging out with you guys, and I love telling stories to you guys. And know whether you're a new subscriber or an old subscriber, click the bell, guys. Get the notifications. Keep coming back, hanging out with me, so you don't miss out on the next dark, strange, true story that I bring to the channel. But that's it. King Pigley's out of here for the day, and I will see you guys in the next video.